Well, we now have our two teams who will be competing for the Larry O'Brien Trophy in this year's NBA Finals. The Oklahoma City Thunder will be taking on the Indiana Pacers in an interesting final series. I think this year's finals is going to be a good one since on paper, both of these teams match up well together. Both teams have a strong roster built by their GMs, Sam Presti for the Thunder and Chad Buckingham of the Indiana Pacers. Both of these men deserve huge props for how they were able to build their teams. But there is another person we should be thanking. This man not only helped build the Thunder, but also the Pacers as well. This guy is up there with the all-time great team builders like Jerry Krause, Jerry West, and Greg Popovich. I am of course talking about the one and only Paul George.
Ball game.
Paul George hasn't played for the Pacers or Thunder for a while now, but his fingerprints are firmly on both of these final teams. First, let's start with the Pacers. Paul George spent the first 7 years of his career with the Pacers. The peak of the PG era was 2012 and 2013, where the Pacers were the #1 seed, but sadly lost in the Eastern Conference Final to the Heat both years. And from 2014 through 2016, the Pacers began to decline due to roster and chemistry issues, and also Paul George suffering a gruesome leg injury in the Team USA scrimmage in 2014. Paul George would come back from this gruesome injury and make 2 All-Star games respectfully, but the team would lose in the first round in back-to-back years, losing to the Raptors in 7 games and getting swept by the Cavs the next year. Paul George will be traded in the 2017 offseason to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis, and the trade actually went well for the Pacers as they saw Victor Oladipo turn into an All-Star and Sabonis was developing nicely as well. But sadly, Oladipo suffered a ruptured quad tendon in 2018 and he was never really the same after that, unable to reach the All-Star game ever again. Sabonis would turn into a 2-time All-Star for the Pacers before he was traded in the middle of the 2022 season to the Kings, which got them their new franchise star, Tyrese Halliburton, and the rest is history. If you think what Paul George did for the Pacers was amazing, what he did for the Thunder was generational. Paul George's 2 years on the Thunder only amounted to 2 first-round exits, one to the Jazz, and one where Damian Lillard shot a deep-ass three to send the Thunder home. And after Damian Lillard snatched the soul of the Thunder, it was at that moment when it was time for the Thunder to rebuild. Paul George requested a trade and was dealt to the Clippers as they were building a super duo with Kawhi and PG-13. The trade package included 7 first-round picks, Danilo Gallinari, and a certain player by the name of SGA. And fast forward to now, SGA developed into an MVP, and the Thunder would use a lot of their draft capital to draft the key players for this team like Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams. While the Kawhi PG-13 era was kind of disappointing, they did make a conference finals for the first time in their franchise's history, but they weren't able to win a title. So the moral of this video is if you are looking to build a championship contender, make sure Paul George is involved in a trade in any shape or form. It will really help you in the long run.